take a look at tech news. Obviously, the biggest situation right now is regarding Linus Tech Tips. I'm going to put my own opinion in here. If you want to check out more information, Gamers Nexus did some great video detective work regarding that situation. Basically, from what I understand it, Linus Tech Tips, there was an employee of the company that said some critical things about other YouTube channels in one of their videos, and eventually Gamers Nexus felt like it was necessary to respond to that. They looked over Linus Tech Tips videos, situations of data inaccuracy, some situations of not handling company product that was given to them properly. It's worth checking out. So this is the response. This is the main video. I'm not going to show it on here, obviously for copyright reasons and stuff, but also Hardware in Box looks like I haven't seen their video on this, but probably worth checking out as well. Linus Tech Tips has also made at least one response video. I saw that. So regarding my opinion, data accuracy obviously is important. I think Linus Tech Tips is more on the entertainment side, but they're trying to get more on the data side. They're a larger company compared to some of the other channels like Gamers Nexus, like employee-wise. I'm sure that is challenging to deal with, so I'm not going to totally be critical of Linus Tech Tips, but I feel like they have turned difficult situations into worse situations by quick responses and personal responses from Linus that are honestly not amazing. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I've done stupid stuff. I've done mean things towards people occasionally throughout my life. It's difficult to be critical in these situations, but I feel like it's necessary also sometimes, because I hope that they continue and I hope that they improve their situation. But related to that, not necessarily the data accuracy thing or the policy regarding specialty products like water cooling devices that they were given and they didn't handle properly. More so, I think it's on the employee side, the HR side, and the ability for employees to give feedback and not be punished. Gamers Nexus took clips from one of LTT's videos where Linus was not supposed to watch the video, and it was employees giving feedback. And there were specific things about being rushed, not being able to produce videos they really loved. It's business is business, but it kind of is reflective of the situation. And also related to that, if you remember Madison, I'm not going to go over her Twitter stuff here, but I think this is a very important aspect. It's difficult to, as a third-party outsider, I'd say check out her Twitter and read through it, try to understand the situation that she felt and she had seen while working there. It wasn't a positive experience for her based on her text here. And also she had some weird interpersonal employee relations that were, she was getting unwanted negativity directed towards her. She was getting unwanted sexual things directed towards her, and it just wasn't solved. It wasn't dealt with based on her text here. I'm not saying anything if true, false, or what, but if you read that, check it out. I think that could potentially be one of the main issues that they have internally, is related to feedback in regards to things actually changing, such as policies, such as actual actionable things that need to happen. You go to the HR department and you say, this other employee said such and such to me, and I felt it did not make me feel good, so please deal with it. But then if nothing happens, nothing is dealt with, that just seems like, to me, that would be one of the main problems that they have. So read this if you want to. That's pretty much the extent of my opinion on that. I'm going to take a hiatus from Linus Tech Tips for a while. They're apparently taking a week off to internally try to deal with the situation. I don't know what they're going to accomplish in a week, but we'll see. Anyways, let's look around and see what else is happening. Video cards is like one of the best sources these days, so I start with them usually, with the Z. So AMD has apparently begun deployment of next-generation GPU architecture, which is now officially called GFX 11.5. Architecture is likely to be the initial indication of forthcoming RDNA 3.5, Navi 3.5 GPU series, and all this car sound going on, sorry. which is scheduled for next year. So apparently we might see 8000 series next year. With how many challenges I've had upgrading my computer, maybe that'll be the year. I'm currently using a i7 6700, 1060, 6GB, 32 gigabytes of DDR4, 2100 megahertz. So it's definitely an older computer, but surprisingly not bad. Still does basically what I want. I'm not a big fan of these tiny little computers for desktop use. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. Intel giving away 2 games with their latest CPUs, GPUs, and systems. So we've got Nightingale, Assassin's Creed Mirage. My current computer would be a bad mix with Intel Arc relating to the PCIe spec. My system does not have resizable bar support, so it would not be a great fit, even though Intel Arc is one of the more reasonably priced options right now. So if you're curious about that or interested, might as well check it out. Deals are always good. I feel like they should just lower the price though. You don't need to do bundled games, just lower the price of the actual GPU, please. Lenovo Legion Go pictured. Looks similar to a Steam Deck, but it has removable controllers, which honestly I think is the smarter way to go about it. Also looks obviously similar to the Nintendo Switch. So my issue with the Steam Deck is that it is integrated, but I think they're going to allow or have parts available on iFixit, some type of relation with them, which kind of sort of alleviates that potential issue. But having actually a removable controller, assuming it's easy to get replacements or get parts for it, is even better in my opinion. So I generally like this layout compared to a full one block design. Obviously it would be more expensive production wise to make it in different pieces, so that's a thing. But Asus also has a similar device. I think it's a mono block type thing like the Steam Deck, and that had issues related to the SD card with heat buildup because the exhaust goes right near the SD card slot like micro SD. This might be a potential better option depending on if it doesn't have poor design aspects. It looks kind of cool. Yeah, there's the Asus ROG Ally and the Steam Deck. So not much specification wise, but that could be an interesting option. Personally, I'm just not interested in a device like this because I don't travel much, but I can see some benefits of it. Still kind of cool that it's a thing that has a lot of RGB. V-Color adds 2 RGB non-DRAM modules. So they're 2x24 kits. Wow, that's a thing. You're really into aesthetics, I guess is kind of cool. Yeah, so it's basically, it pulls power from the DRAM socket, but obviously doesn't have actual RAM in it. I mean, if you're into that, no, it's not going to hurt anything, probably. AMD Radeon chief confirms major product announcements. So we got the 7800 XT, but still probably going to be pretty expensive here. So 77, 192-bit bus, which is not ideal, but is better than 128. 256-bit. Why is the memory speed the same? I think this might be a error here. So not a ton of information, but at the very least, it's nice to see more options. Hopefully it's reasonably priced. This one especially. It uses a Gen 4 by 16. So this would generally work better in an older computer because it's using the entire slot rather than this one because it's Gen 4 but it's by 8. So it's not going to use the entire slot. And then if you have an older generation of PCIe, it's going to be slower data rates. And then you're also cut down by the amount of lanes. So I think this is probably used for game developers that can potentially use like ray tracing speedups. I don't know the specifics. I haven't really gotten into all that stuff. Obviously my computer does not have ray tracing capabilities. XMX. Is this like MMX but newer? Probably not. This is my first Windows computer. I did have a Commodore 64, but it was a Pentium 166 MMX, which was additions to the instruction set for media stuff, I think mostly. And there was just not as much as support back then for extras, but it was helpful in some situations. Oh, here's another rumor. AMD Navi 4C. This would have been the AMD flagship RX 8000 GPU, but was potentially canceled. maybe they're having issues, like technical issues. One thing we can say about NVIDIA is that they've pushed the boundary, and AMD just can't get up there for some reason, which is kind of confusing and strange because they basically have access to the same manufacturing technology. So it's more on the design side. So there's Samsung, there's TSMC, and they're pretty much the two that I know of that are pushing the boundaries of manufacturing technology. GPU manufacturers flip-flop between those two. Let's take a look at Reddit. I haven't looked at Reddit in a bit. So this is a PC Master Race subreddit. So someone on here is saying, am I the only one that thinks the NVIDIA control panel UI is outdated? Sure, I agree. It's very basic. I mean, what else could they do though? It's just a list of stuff and then options. Do they really need something else? Maybe they should put more stuff in it? More options? So I sent my 3090 for RMA and got this as a replacement. Oh, 4090. Lucky you. Star Citizen. So this is some old photo of Star Citizen developers or something. I don't know too much about it. I know of it. And yeah, it's been being developed a long time, but it's a very inspirational type of game where they try to do a lot. Oh boy, is this a joke? So they have it set as meme. They say Madison allegations response. We aim to provide an inclusive work environment where everyone can feel comfortable and, more importantly, safe. Like how our water bottle keeps you safe from dehydration. LTTstore.com. Yeah. What they're referencing here is LTT's main response video. I don't know if they've made anything new since then, but they were making jokes about merchandise and advertising throughout the whatever it was. I do like Dan. He's cool. He's pretty cool too. But obviously I don't know these people, so you never know. I don't know who Madison was talking about in her tweets, but there were some people that were very unpleasant to her apparently. And I don't know who was her manager or what. Oh man, it's going to be more LTT stuff. Yeah, so they're basically responding more to the allegations. What a word, right? Okay, here's another former employee. Comments on LTT workplace allegations. Overall, we made technical errors all the time. Most get caught selling. The prototype has an element of Occam's razor, but it isn't excusable. Madison's posts today are in line with what I remember hearing back when we were colleagues. And it takes Chiantes to post that. Yeah, so apparently this other ex-employee had heard some things, but no direct knowledge that she was not having a great time. That's sad. More LTT stuff. The Verge responded. Oh man. They're going to hire an outside investigator, apparently. And The Verge, people were very critical of The Verge when they made a PC building video. And Tech, Intel calls off Tower acquisition, forced to focus solely on leading edge nodes. Tower Semiconductor, is that what they are called? So it looks like they were going to spend $5.4 billion to acquire Tower Semiconductor. Due to lack of regulatory approval from China, the two companies announced on Wednesday it didn't work out. Instead, renegotiating, Intel will pay Tower $353 million breakup fee and walk away. Can you imagine spending $353 million and getting nothing out of it? That is nuts. Can they send me $1 million? Maybe $2 million? I'll take it. So good fit. Intel's business strategy always relied on building leading edge and producing the world's most advanced chips, most sophisticated blah blah blah. So I guess Tower was not as advanced or something. Intel is trying to get back into the swing of things, but they have struggled a lot with manufacturing technology. Okay, they're going to refocus on leading edge nodes until 1623. I don't know specific. I've heard of the name, but I don't know what they do or who they sell to or what they make. And a bunch of other stuff here, whatever that means. Mixed signal CMOS, imaging sensors. Maybe that's where I heard of them. It's possible they had made a sensor for Nikon, one of the camera makers. I feel like that might have been the case once. Nikon is the Japanese pronunciation from katakana. Generally, I say it Nikon or Nikon. So they're in Israel. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I remember. Let's see what else we got. AI server market to reach $150 billion by 2027, according to Foxconn. Do we even have real AI yet? The GPT stuff, I guess technically is AI, but it's, in my opinion, it's regurgitating human knowledge because it needs a ton of training data. It can't really take a moderate amount of data like what a human gets and then create new things out of it. That would be the ultimate, one of the ultimate types of AI is the generalist AI, having the ability to actually think and function like a human, but also dangerous to have that. OWC teams up with this other company for 32 terabyte and 64 terabyte SSDs. That's a lot. I wouldn't mind a few of those. These are chunky. So that looks like a 3.5 incher. Maybe it's a 5.5. These probably produce a lot of heat too. I don't see any type of fan in them. That's interesting. Maybe there's a fan on the back somewhere. Okay, yeah, it comes with a 3000 RPM fan. Not completely quiet out of the box. So this other thing potentially removes it. So they're basically just packing it with SSDs, like commodity ones. Kind of cool, but this seems like a very specialty situation. It's probably very expensive too. Let's see, Samsung teases a 256. Wow, those were 32 and 64. And then Samsung is like, hey, how about 256 terabyte? And that's tiny too. You flipping kidding me? Wow. Although Samsung does have access to the most advanced manufacturing technology, so it makes sense. That's a lot though. I'd like a few of these. This is based on 3D quad. It's basically each bit, which is not ideal for some like reading, writing, mostly writing. They've pretty much shifted to the quad style rather than the double or even single. Yeah, that'll be cool. Hopefully we see a lot more advancement in like speed and access to consumer level, high capacity SSDs. I currently have a card with 4 1 terabytes in RAID 10. So I basically have 2 terabytes for my video work drive, and then I have another 2 terabyte standard SATA drive for backup and other stuff. And then I have a 2 terabyte OS drive. And then I also have a single terabyte extra drive for other stuff. That was one of my older ones, but I would like more storage. But also I would like a lot of more options in long-term storage. I do that with disks, but they're expensive. So I don't think long-term and SSD is a good mix either. Hopefully we see more development in long-term data storage options. Let's do Slashdot. Close to half of American adults favor TikTok ban. I don't believe that. I don't care, honestly. And it's not like it's not like American companies don't quote unquote spy on people either. I think there should be potential restrictions or requirements for all the companies related to privacy and data use. But I don't think specifically targeting TikTok is the smartest thing. It's a little weird because they're specifically going after this one app. And it's not like it's the only one. Oh, this one's good. YouTube ads may have led to online tracking of children, research says. They were supposed to avoid this with the whole made for kids thing, YouTube kids thing, but apparently it wasn't perfect. So I'm not going to read through this, but that's a potential class action against YouTube. We'll see. Microsoft CEO says AI is a tidal wave as big as the internet. So the quote here says, in 1995, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates sent a memo calling the internet a tidal wave, which was basically true. Nearly 2 decades later, Microsoft's current leader said he believes the impact of artificial intelligence will be just as profound. So it's not anything of substance besides that quote that the current CEO was saying. I haven't used Bing in quite a while. I did initial testing with it, and it's kind of cool. It uses the GPT stuff, OpenAI stuff, and it does have internet access, but at least at the time, I don't know currently, it was not good at giving me proper information. From how I understand it, the GPT style of AI, quote unquote, is just not good at giving you consistent, valid information. It doesn't really think for itself. Again, it takes a lot of training data, and a lot of the time is just not going to give you valid information. It does have its uses, it does have its benefits. I have used it for some programming stuff. In those situations, a good portion of it was decent, But again, it didn't work on, say, for example, I've been doing scripting with my video editor, which is Magix Vegas Pro, and there's just very limited information about their scripting on the internet. So ChatGPT was incapable of giving me proper code when I asked for it. So it's not capable of, say, taking similar types of scripting, which there are because it uses Visual Studio, it uses C#, it uses COM objects and like COM style connection. And there should be other code for other systems, other programs that could be, by a human, be converted into Vegas specific or whatever, but it's not capable of doing that. So I feel like his current statement is a little much unless he knows things we don't. He knows of systems we haven't seen, which is certainly possible. Yeah, this is a good one. Yep, selling a product service says it's big. Blah, blah, blah. Fee? Pretty much. Microsoft CEO has something to sell you that it's amazing. It's going to make you tons of money if you could pay him first. Yeah, this is good. Okay, you should come here for the comments more than the quote up there. So this comment says a recap from the previous post. In the beginning of May, this dataset LLAMA from Meta was leaked. Open source community jumped on it and made several tremendous breakthroughs over the course of 2 months, to the point where anyone can have an unrestricted AI in their home computer right now. As a proof of concept, I don't know where this quote is coming from or recap or what. Stable diffusion, yeah, that's the whole imaging one, which basically remixes people's creative work on the video, photo side, actually video too. And people think that that's actually like what human does. It's not. So the text to image generator. Walled garden versions. I don't know what walled garden versions of AI are. Open source is eating everyone's lunch. So it's very good that all of these systems do have open source options or people working on open source versions. The level of which I would want it to help me with, like, say, video editing, I don't know if anything exists. But as I do more scripting with Vegas Pro, I could see potential outlets. Say I use an open source tool, I integrate it as a script, I let it go through the footage, I let it speech to text, and then process that data, and then clip up the video based on the text. That could be useful, but it's tough for me because I'm not in a financial situation to spend that type of time on something for a maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work situation. Yeah, anyways, it's kind of exciting, I've not seen it yet. And Microsoft struggles to gain on Google despite its head start in AI. Yeah, I'm not even going to bother. Stat Counter still exists. In July, Bing had 3% market share according to Stat Counter. I used to use them many years ago on a website or two. They were one of the early ones to do easy website stats. So you put like a little picture, invisible picture on your website, and then they track information about users. So I'm kind of surprised they still exist. That's funny and interesting. New AP guidelines lay the groundwork for AI-assisted newsrooms. That's kind of interesting. So AP is one of the big news organizations, I'd say, but AP tends to be more news-focused than anything else. And if you want to get actual news, go on their website. It still might be some bias in there, here and there. But as say, they do a better job, and they're actually one of the sources of many news articles that other organizations, even local ones, use. So for example, I used to work at a TV station for a little bit. I was doing their website and stuff, and I would take AP articles from this system and put them on the website. And they basically paid AP for access to that. And yeah, so they do the back end of providing news. They also do their own website now. So we've got regular direct-to-consumer news. Let's see. Maui fire. We've got more of that. Hurricane, Mississippi, something. Lots of Polito stuff, actually. Yeah. All right. Anyways, that was just my opinion. I haven't looked at their news site in a long time, so I don't know if there is some bias going on or not. At the very least, historically, they've been more just, hey, here's news, than anything else. All right, I think that's good. That was general tech news and other stuff. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see ya.